Discovery and Defiance. Commander Elena Rodriguez stood at the observation deck of the Lunar Dark Matter Research Facility, watching Earth gleam like a blue jewel in the black void of space. The facility's quantum sensors hummed quietly behind her, monitoring the mysterious substance that had become humanity's greatest discovery, and potentially its salvation. "Commander, you need to see this." Dr. Kai Chen's voice crackled through her comm unit. The chief scientist's usually calm demeanor carried an edge of excitement that made Elena turn immediately toward the main laboratory. The massive underground chamber housed the world's most advanced dark matter containment system. Streams of invisible particles flowed through crystalline chambers, their presence only detectable through the facility's quantum imaging system. Dr. Chen stood before the main console, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. "We've done it," he said without looking up. "We've finally achieved stable containment and manipulation." The visualization showed streams of dark matter forming complex geometric patterns, responding to the facility's control systems with unprecedented precision. Elena watched the display, her military training helping her maintain composure despite the gravity of the breakthrough. "How soon can we begin weapons testing?" "Weapons?" Kai finally looked up, his eyes wide. "Elena, this is a scientific." The facility's alarm system screamed to life, bathing the laboratory in pulsing red light. Elena's comm unit erupted with urgent messages from Earth Defense Command. Multiple unknown objects detected entering the solar system. The automated alert announced. Size and velocity consistent with artificial construction. Current trajectory. Earth intercept. Elena's tablet displayed the incoming objects. Massive vessels, each larger than anything humanity had ever constructed. Their hulls seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, making them look like moving holes in space. "First contact," Kai whispered, but Elena was already moving. "Lock down all research data," she ordered. "Initiate Protocol Omega. We're about to have visitors, and I don't think they're here to welcome us to the galactic community." The next 48 hours validated her concerns. The alien vessels, belonging to a species that identified themselves as the Craxus, took up position around Earth. Their message was simple: surrender all dark matter research and technology, or face extinction. "They've been watching us," Elena told the assembled Earth Defense Council, her uniform crisp despite having gone 2 days without sleep. "They waited until we made this breakthrough. They're not here to prevent us from developing this technology. They're here to take it." "The Craxus claim this technology is too dangerous for younger species," Council Chairman Zhang replied, his holographic projection flickering slightly. "Perhaps we should consider." "With respect, Mr. Chairman," Elena interrupted, "if they truly believed that, they would have intervened years ago. No, they'd waited until we solved the containment problem. Until we did the hard work. They're not here to protect us. They are here to maintain their technological advantage." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had finally reached for the stars, only to find that the galaxy's older civilizations had no intention of welcoming them as equals. "What are you proposing, Commander Rodriguez?" The question came from Admiral Santos, his weathered face grave. Elena activated a secure data cube, projecting schematics into the chamber center. "Project Shadowfleet. We've been developing theoretical designs for dark matter-powered vessels since the first breakthrough. With Dr. Chen's latest achievement, we can make them reality." The projection showed sleek ships unlike anything in Earth's current fleet, vessels designed to channel and weaponize the very fabric of space itself. "The Craxus gave us 2 weeks to surrender our research," Elena continued. "I propose we give them something else entirely. We build this fleet in secret, using the lunar facility's shielded construction base. When they come to collect our submission, they'll find humanity has no intention of remaining in the shadows." "You're talking about war," Chairman Zhang said softly, "against a species centuries ahead of us technologically." Elena's expression hardened. "I'm talking about survival, Mr. Chairman. About humanity's right to determine its own destiny. The Craxus think will bow down before superior force. They're about to learn how humans respond to threats. The council debated for hours, but in the end, the decision was unanimous. Project Shadowfleet was given emergency priority. As Elena walked back to the Lunar Facilities Command Center, she could already hear the construction bays coming to life. "They're going to throw everything they have at us when they realize what we're doing," Kai said, falling into step beside her. Elena smiled grimly. "Good, because humanity is about to show them something they've never seen before. A species that refuses to kneel. Let's get to work, Doctor. We have 2 weeks to change the course of human history." In the void above Earth, the Craxus vessels waited in silent menace, unaware that their ultimatum had just sealed their fate. Humanity's darkest hour was about to become its finest, and the galaxy would never be the same. The dark fleet rises. The EDS Shadowhawk emerged from its lunar construction bay like a predator from its den. Its obsidian hull seemed to drink in starlight, dark matter containment systems pulsing with barely contained power. From her position on the bridge, Elena Rodriguez watched as 4 more vessels of Earth's secret fleet took formation around the flagship. Dark matter core stable at 98%. Kai reported from his station, his voice carrying a mix of pride and anxiety. "All ships reporting ready, Commander." Elena nodded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the Craxus blockade above Earth. 13 massive alien vessels still waiting for humanity's surrender. Their deadline would expire in 6 hours. "All ships, battle formation Delta," she ordered through the quantum-encrypted comm. "Remember your training. What we're about to attempt has never been done before. The fate of our species rests on what happens in the next few hours." The human fleet moved silently through space, using the dark matter drives to bend light around their hulls. The Craxus, for all their advanced technology, remained unaware of their approach. Their arrogance would be their undoing. Multiple energy spikes from Craxus vessels, Lieutenant Sarah Wong announced from Tactical. "They're preparing to broadcast something." The Craxus message boomed through all Earth's communication channels. "Your time has expired. Submit to immediate technological containment or face extinction. You have 1 hour to comply." Elena's lips curved in a cold smile. "Let's give them our answer. All ships, execute Operation Nightfall." The Shadowhawk's dark matter core surged with power. Reality itself seemed to twist around the ship as it prepared to fire the most devastating weapon humanity had ever created. The other vessels of the fleet followed suit, their targeting systems locked onto separate Craxus ships. "Dark matter lance charged," Sarah reported. "Target locked on Craxus command vessel." Fire. Beams of absolute darkness lanced out from the human ships. Where they struck, space itself seemed to tear apart. The Craxus vessel's advanced shields meant nothing. The dark matter weapons didn't so much penetrate them as ignore their existence entirely. The alien command ship split in half, its crystalline hull shattering as dark matter energy consumed it from within. The remaining Craxus vessels reacted with shocking speed, their own weapons blazing to life. Evasive maneuvers. Elena ordered as space around the human fleet erupted with energy weapons fire. The Shadowhawk dove through the chaos, its dark matter drive allowing it to move in ways that defied conventional physics. EDS Valiant taking heavy fire, Kai reported, his hands flying over his console. Their dark matter containment field is fluctuating. Elena watched as one of her ships spun away from the battle, its hull crackling with destructive energy. Valiant, emergency jump to lunar backup position. All other ships, concentrate fire on their flagship. The battle transformed the space above Earth into a graveyard of broken ships and twisted physics. 3 more Craxus vessels fell to the dark matter lances, their mighty hulls split and shattered. But the aliens were learning, adapting their tactics with frightening speed. "Commander," Kai's voice carried urgent warning. "I'm detecting something strange in the dark matter readings. The weapon's effect on space-time is cascading, growing stronger with each shot." Before Elena could respond, a massive energy surge erupted from the remaining Craxus ships. A wave of unknown energy washed over the human fleet, making the dark matter cores fluctuate wildly. "They're trying to destabilize our containment fields," Kai shouted over the sound of straining systems. "If they succeed, all ships, emergency protocols," Elena ordered, gripping her command chair as the Shadowhawk shuddered around her. "Vent excess dark matter energy through the secondary arrays. Don't let them force a core breach." The space battle had transformed into something else entirely, a desperate race between two technologies that were never meant to interact. The Craxus weapons threatened to unravel the very fabric of reality that humanity had learned to manipulate. "New contacts." Sarah's voice cut through the chaos. "Multiple Craxus reinforcements dropping out of FTL. At least 20 ships, maybe more." Elena stared at the tactical display, watching as fresh enemy vessels joined the battle. The human fleet had bloodied the Craxus nose, but now the real fight was about to begin. And somewhere in the back of her mind, a horrible suspicion began to form about why the aliens were so desperate to stop humanity's dark matter research. "All ships that can still fight, form up on the Shadowhawk," she ordered, her voice steady despite the growing dread in her gut. "We're not done yet. The Craxus wanted to see what humanity is capable of. Let's show them exactly what happens when you back us into a corner." Above the blue marble of Earth, humanity's dark fleet prepared for round 2 of a battle that would either secure their species' future or tear reality itself apart. Counterstrike. The Lunar Control Center had become a war room, its displays showing the aftermath of humanity's first major space battle. Elena stood before the assembled fleet commanders, her uniform bearing the scars of the recent conflict. The holographic representation of Earth's orbital space showed alarming readings, areas where reality itself had begun to fray. "The dark matter weapons did more than destroy Craxus ships," Kai explained, highlighting zones of distorted spacetime. "They're creating tears in the fabric of reality. Tears that are growing." Admiral Santos leaned forward, his weathered face grave. "How long until these tears become a critical threat?" "At the current rate of expansion." Kai brought up a simulation. 2 weeks, maybe less. If we continue using the weapons at the same intensity, we could see catastrophic failures in local spacetime within days." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity's greatest weapon was also potentially its greatest threat. "Commander Rodriguez," a new voice cut through the tension. The speaker stepped from the shadows, a tall, ethereal figure with silver skin and eyes like distant stars. Ambassador Lyra of the Athenian Collective had arrived unannounced, her presence sending ripples of surprise through the assembled humans. "The Craxus aren't trying to stop your technological advancement," Lyra continued. "They're trying to prevent a catastrophe they themselves barely survived centuries ago." Elena's eyes narrowed. "You've been watching us too. Why come forward now?" "Because the Craxus solution, to suppress all dark matter research, is as dangerous as the problem itself. We believe humanity has the potential to solve what they could not." Before Elena could respond, emergency alerts blared through the facility. Lieutenant Wong's voice crackled over the comm. "Multiple Craxus strike forces detected approaching the solar system. Their weapons. Commander, they're using something new, something that's accelerating the tears. They're desperate," Lyra observed. "They'll destroy your entire system to prevent another dark matter catastrophe." Elena turned to the ambassador. "You said we might solve what they couldn't. What did you mean?" The alien star-like eyes seemed to pierce through her. "Your species approaches problems differently. Where the Craxus seek to control dark matter, you seek to understand it. We've been watching your Dr. Chen's research, his theories about harmonic resonance, the containment field modifications," Kai exclaimed. "Commander, if we reverse the polarity of our dark matter cores, we might be able to create a stabilizing effect instead of a destructive one." "How long would it take to modify the fleet?" Elena demanded. 8 hours, maybe 6 with the Athenians' help. New alerts flashed across the displays. The Kraxus fleet was launching their first attacks, their weapons targeting the existing tiers in spacetime, making them grow at an alarming rate. "We don't have 6 hours," Admiral Santos growled. "Those tiers reach critical mass. Earth is done for." Elena studied the tactical display, her mind racing. "We don't need to modify the whole fleet, just the Shadowhawk. Doctor, you and Ambassador Lyra have 3 hours. Admiral, I need every conventional ship we have ready to buy us time." "What are you planning, Commander?" Santos asked. "The Kraxus think they're preventing a catastrophe. Let's show them what happens when humanity decides to clean up its own mess." She turned to Kai and Lyra. "Can you do it?" The human scientist and alien ambassador exchanged looks. "We'll need to synchronize the dark matter harmonics perfectly," Kai said. "One mistake, and we'll tear reality apart faster than the Kraxus ever could." "I can provide the necessary quantum calculations," Lyra offered. "But the implementation, the actual control of the energies, that will require human intuition. Your species' greatest strength." New explosions lit up the tactical display as the first waves of Kraxus weapons struck Earth's defensive lines. Elena watched her people scramble to battle stations, determination written across every face. 3 hours, she reminded them. "Whatever you're going to do it fast. Humanity just volunteered to save reality itself, and I don't intend to let anyone down." The next 3 hours transformed the lunar facility into a rushed laboratory of hybrid human Athenian science. As battle raged across the solar system, Kai and Lyra worked to turn humanity's greatest weapon into something else entirely, a tool to heal the very fabric of spacetime. Above them, the tiers in reality grew larger, their edges beginning to merge. The Kraxus weapons targeted these wounds with surgical precision, their attacks designed to force a cascade failure that would consume the entire system. But they had never faced humanity's particular brand of stubborn determination, and they were about to learn that sometimes the best way to win a fight isn't to throw the hardest punch, it's to turn your opponent's strength against them. The modified Shadowhawk would prove that point, one way or another. Edge of extinction. The modified EDS Shadowhawk hung in space like a dark promise, its hull crackling with transformed energy. On the bridge, Elena watched the tactical display with growing concern. The tiers in spacetime had grown exponentially, creating a web of reality fractures that threatened to tear the solar system apart. Dark matter core modifications holding at 94% stability, Kai reported from his station, his voice strained. "The Athenian harmonics are integrating better than expected, but we're pushing the limits of what's theoretically possible." Ambassador Lyra stood at a specially modified console, her silver skin reflecting the emergency lighting. "The Kraxus fleet is changing formation. They recognize the modifications to your vessel." "Good," Elena said grimly, "because I want them to see exactly what comes next. All hands. Battle stations." The Kraxus had brought their full might to bear. Over 50 warships now surrounded Earth, their weapons specifically tuned to accelerate the reality tiers. They believed they were preventing a catastrophe. They were about to learn the difference between prevention and cure. "Multiple targeting locks detected," Lieutenant Wong announced. "They're focusing everything on us." As expected, Elena straightened in her command chair. "All power to the modified core. Dr. Chen, begin the harmonics sequence." The Shadowhawk's dark matter core hummed with new purpose, its energy signature transformed by the hybrid human Athenian modifications. Where it had once torn reality apart, it now sought to knit it back together. "Kraxus vessels launching primary attack wave," Wong reported. "Impact in 15 seconds. Hold position," Elena ordered. "Let them come to us." The first wave of Kraxus weapons struck like a hammer of light, their energy designed to shatter the boundaries between dimensions. The Shadowhawk shuddered under the impact, but its modified shields held. "Core harmonics at full power," Kai announced. "Beginning reality stabilization sequence. Now." A pulse of darkness erupted from the Shadowhawk, but this was different from their previous weapons. Instead of tearing space apart, it began to seal the wounds in reality. The nearest tiers started to shrink, their edges knitting together like healing flesh. "It's working," Kai exclaimed. "The harmonic resonances." His words cut off as new alarms blared. A massive Craxus vessel, larger than any they'd seen before, emerged from FTL directly above Earth. Its hull wasn't just dark. It seemed to bend light around it in impossible ways. "By the stars," Lyra whispered. "That's the World Ender, their ultimate weapon. They only built one, after the catastrophe centuries ago. Its power source is pure dark matter," Kai finished, staring at his readings. "More than we've ever seen. If they activate it here, with reality already weakened, they'll destroy everything," Elena realized. Not just Earth, the entire solar system, maybe more. The World Ender's presence changed everything. Their plan to heal the reality tiers wouldn't matter if that weapon fired. They needed a new solution, and they needed it now. "Dr. Chen," Elena said quietly, "if we inverted the harmonics completely, turned our stabilization effect into a focused point of pure chaos." Kai's eyes widened as he understood. "We could create a localized reality collapse. It would consume any dark matter source within range, but..." He glanced at their own dark matter core. "Could we survive it?" He shook his head slowly. "The Shadowhawk would be at ground zero. There wouldn't be any escape." Elena looked at her crew, humans who had volunteered to face the unknown, to defend their species against impossible odds. Then at Lyra, who had risked everything to help them find a better solution than the Craxus had. "Ambassador," she said, "if we do this, can your people help Earth rebuild? Help them understand dark matter properly this time?" Lyra's star-like eyes seemed to shimmer. "You have my word. Your species has proven itself worthy of the knowledge many times over." New alarms sounded as the World Ender began powering up its main weapon. They were out of time. "All hands," Elena announced, her voice steady. "It has been my honor to serve with you. Lieutenant Wang, transmit all our research data to the lunar facility. Dr. Chen, begin harmonic inversion. Let's show the Craxus how humanity faces its final moments." As the Shadowhawk turned to face the World Ender, Elena thought of Earth shining below them, of all the billions of lives depending on their next actions. The Craxus had sought to prevent a catastrophe by controlling who could access dark matter technology. Instead, they were about to learn that true wisdom came not from control, but from understanding. And humanity, in its final defiant act, would teach them that lesson. Humanity's dawn. Time seemed to slow on the Shadowhawk's bridge, as the massive form of the World Ender loomed before them. The Craxus superweapon's dark matter core pulsed with enough power to shred reality itself, its energy signature distorting space in visible waves. Harmonic inversion at 89% and climbing. Kai reported, his fingers dancing across his console. Core stability becoming critical. Elena watched the distance counter tick down. They would only get one shot at this. Status of the reality tiers. Growing exponentially, Wang answered. Estimate total system collapse in less than 10 minutes. Through the main viewport, Elena could see Earth below them, a blue jewel wrapped in a web of fractured space-time. Everything humanity had built, everything they might become, hung in the balance. "We're being hailed," Wang announced with surprise. "It's the World Ender." Elena nodded. "Put them through." A holographic figure materialized on the bridge. A Craxus commander, their crystalline form radiating ancient power. "Your species continues to surprise us, Commander Rodriguez. Even now, at the end, you refuse to submit." "We're not built for submission," Elena replied calmly. "But then, you never really understood us, did you? You saw our potential for destruction and assumed that's all we were capable of." "We saw ourselves," the Craxus commander corrected. "Centuries ago, our own dark matter experiments nearly destroyed a dozen star systems. We learned control was the only answer." No, Elena said. You learned fear, and you've been running from it ever since. She glanced at her readings, 95% inversion. Almost there. But humanity. We learn from our mistakes. We adapt. We evolve. Pretty words, the commander dismissed. But they change nothing. The world ender will fire in 30 seconds. Your species' experiment with dark matter technology ends here. Elena smiled. You're right about one thing. It ends here. She cut the transmission with a gesture. All power to the inverted core. Protection fields at maximum. The Shadowhawk's modified dark matter core screamed as it pushed beyond its limits. Reality itself seemed to bend around the ship as they prepared their final gambit. Commander, Kai said softly. The inversion. I was wrong before. There might be a way to survive this, but it would mean targeting the World Ender's primary core. Wong interrupted. 10 seconds to weapon release. Elena looked at her crew one last time. Dr. Chen, what's your idea? If we synchronize our core explosion perfectly with the World Ender's attack, we might be able to create a containment bubble instead of total destruction. The laws of physics would be negotiable inside it. Meaning? Meaning we might be able to ride out the reality collapse. Might. If we get the timing exactly right. 5 seconds. The World Ender's weapon reached full charge, reality warping around its barrel. Do it, Elena ordered. Lieutenant Wong, fire on my mark. The universe seemed to hold its breath. In that moment, Elena thought of all the choices that had led them here. Humanity, reaching for the stars despite every warning, every threat. Not out of arrogance, but out of an unquenchable desire to understand. Fire. The Shadowhawk's inverted dark matter beam lanced out at the exact moment the World Ender's weapon discharged. 2 streams of reality warping power met in space between the ships. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the universe turned inside out. The containment bubble formed as Kai had predicted, a pocket of twisted space-time protecting the Shadowhawk from the chaos outside. Through their distorted sensors, they watched as the World Ender's dark matter core began to implode, dragging the massive ship into a singularity of its own making. But something else was happening too. The reality tiers weren't just being contained, they were being rewritten. The bubble of warped physics was acting as a lens, focusing and redirecting the enormous energies being released. The tiers, Lyra breathed, her silver skin glowing with reflected energy. They're healing themselves. The dark matter explosion isn't destroying reality. It's resetting it. When the light finally faded, the Shadowhawk hung in clear space. The reality tiers were gone. The World Ender had vanished. And in its place, something new had formed. A stable dark matter nexus, a perfect fusion of destruction and creation. All stations report, Elena ordered, pulling herself up from where the final shockwave had thrown her. One by one, her crew confirmed their survival. The Shadowhawk was damaged but intact, protected by the very forces that should have destroyed it. The remaining Kraxus ships, Wong reported with wonder. They're standing down. Elena turned to Ambassador Lyra. What happens now? The Athenaean's star-like eyes sparkled. Now, Commander, your species has proven itself beyond any doubt. The dark matter nexus you've created, it's unlike anything we've seen. A way to study and harness this power safely. She paused. The galaxy will never be the same. Good, Elena said, watching as Earth emerged from behind the moon. Still beautiful, still whole. Because humanity is just getting started. In the months that followed, the dark matter nexus became the center of a new age of exploration and discovery. The Kraxus, humbled by humanity's solution to the problem that had haunted them for centuries, became reluctant but respectful allies. The Athenaeans helped establish Earth's first interstellar university, dedicated to understanding the forces that had nearly destroyed them. And the Shadowhawk, it remained as a testament to humanity's finest hour, not because they had won a war, but because they had found a way to turn destruction into creation, fear into understanding, and an ending into a beginning. The stars had never seemed closer or the future brighter, as humanity took its first true steps into the cosmic community, not as servants or subjects, but as equals who had earned their place among the stars through courage, innovation, and the uniquely human ability to face the impossible and find a way through. It was, Alina thought as she watched the first graduation ceremony at the new university, one hell of a way to introduce themselves to the galaxy.